Hello everyone, it's Jacob from Must Contain Minis, and I've been busy working on the Brutalis Dreadnought for the Space Marines of Warhammer 40k. Now this miniature was not the easiest to put together at all. It has a bunch of bits that you can see I still made it so that the arms can move, but these bits come apart when you actually kind of turn the model. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going in and I glued those pieces together. Likewise, I glued the joint here. And the actual arms going into this dreadnought were super frustrating. You have to actually trim down the joint so that it'll fit inside the hole. If you don't trim off the plastic closest to the arm, it'll end up not fitting. So I was fortunate enough to catch this before I built the model so that I didn't have a bigger problem once I assembled the arms. The miniature itself is really cool. You get the option between these multi-melta weapons that I pasted onto it. And yes, they do move a little bit, so they can move up and down. That's pretty cool. Or you can use the heavy bolters. Could have made this part so that it will rotate, but I thought, you know what? It's going to be easier if I glue this down for transportation. Overall, it's a cool mini, but it's super fiddly to build. Let's take a quick look at the directions. Compared to the Brutalis Dreadnought, there is a lot to worry about and to construct in the Brutalis Dreadnought. This one is much easier to build, but it's also more push fit. The arms on this one can move. And until I glued it down, the joints on this one can move up and down as well. Now, let me show you where I had troubles with this miniature in the instructions. The real problem of this kit is these arms. So this connector point here that they tell you not to glue down, there's a special way to build it. But even if you follow these directions, whenever I twisted the arms, they fell apart. So even though you can move them around at this joint here, they would actually the hand would come off. And that's not what I want in the miniature. So I ended up gluing that down. What I did do is I built this as it shows here. And then when I got to actually using the miniature, I glued it down in a pose that I liked. That way I don't have to worry about it falling apart. The most frustrating problem in this kit is this part here. So these connect together and you can see the little hinge there. That wing is too thick to fit in the hole where it belongs. When you are finished constructing the arms, we end up putting the arms into the socket here. You don't glue it so it can move around. But unfortunately, those little wings that I showed you up here, these wings, they're so thick that they don't actually go in the holes. So you have to trim those wings off before you can fit them in here. I didn't have to glue them, but I trimmed them down pretty thin, so I ended up gluing those arms in place just in case. That said, there are a lot of different areas that this arm can still move. So even though I glued it in two spots, I still have a little bit of rotation on the claws, and I can still move it here. If I ended up following the directions completely, you can still rotate the arms up and down. And on top of that, you can move the arms at this elbow joint. So that's 4 points where you can move the model. That's pretty cool and kind of impressive. The model itself looks pretty good when it's done. It was frustrating to build, but mostly because of these arms. Now, there's another thing that I didn't show you, but you can actually open up the coffin area to see the Space Marine that's piloting the device. You close that up. If you want to, I'm sure you could glue that, but I didn't bother. There's also two different fronts, so you can choose which one you like the best.
Before heading out, I almost forgot to show you the sprues. Here's one, and here's the other. You put it together to make the Brutalis Dreadnought. Now compared to the Brutalis Dreadnought, they're pretty much the same size. I took that Brutalis Dreadnought and I compared it to a Primaris Space Marine here. Thanks for watching.
And until next time, happy gaming everyone.